Hey guys, Joanna here. So today's Friday, and Monday was my last day of radiation, and I gotta tell you, this is the hardest week I think I've had so far. And the reason is because, like, without being overly graphic, radiation is kind of like microwaving. If you microwave an egg, it's gonna cook for a couple minutes longer. Like you radiate your body, it's gonna keep cooking for a couple minutes longer. It's like, oops. Nobody told me that. I wish they told me that. But I've managed to get through it. Go figure. And I've also been managing to get through like all the emotional stuff because it's been incredibly emotional for me. Like these last 6 weeks, actually, this last 3 months has been incredibly emotional for me. And I'm asking myself questions like our brain. So here's a learning moment. Our brain is constantly asking questions, and if we don't direct it, it asks the typical questions that we see in society and our culture, and or in our families or our tribes, or like whatever we hold near and dear, and whatever is our most influential thing. So like, some people run around all day long asking the question, what's wrong with me? And other people run around all day long asking the question like, how awesome is this, right? And so other people run around asking themselves other questions, like I've been around people who are like, what can I complain about today? And we don't even think about it, right? Like nobody actually in their conscious, aware mind is going, what can I complain about today? Instead, we are consciously asking ourselves things like, can I identify? Let me tell my most identifying story. And we forget our places. So we end up telling our most identifying story in like the most inappropriate times and alienating ourselves from the people that we care about. Because our most identifying story is not always the one that needs to be told, And so like these are the types of things that we do. Like we live our lives by default. And yet our brain, our mind is constantly asking questions. So, like that's had me asking myself the last couple days, what questions have I been asking? And what is my dominant question? And like I'm sitting there going, okay, so I'm having like the most amazing, incredible, awesome, terrifying, wonderful, loving, challenging, opportunity building experience of my life. And what are the questions I'm asking myself? And what's the question that I ask myself that has created this awesome, amazing, loving experience in the middle of something so terrifying? And I don't know the answer yet. I don't know what question I've been asking myself, but I suspect that it is the question that I have asked myself all my life, because all my life has shown me who I am by the way that the world responds to me, and that's exactly why it's so important to know the questions that we ask, right? So here's the thing, is that for the last 3 days, I've been in incredible physical pain. And I've been in incredible emotional pain. And I've been letting it out, like not hiding it. And not trying to stuff it back. And not getting angry about it. Just letting it happen. And sometimes it's like an ocean. Like the tide comes in and out and in and out, and it's like, oh God, am I gonna use up this whole box of tissues? And then like the tide comes in and out and it goes in and out, and I'm laughing and I'm carrying on with the person that I'm talking to, and think that's life, and I think that, like, that's the first time I've ever been able to say, like, sitting there and being able to be with my emotional pain and choosing the friends who know how to be with someone who's going through emotional pain has been the greatest blessing that I could have. And choosing to go through the emotional pain is making me just as strong as choosing to go through the radiation. Like, I don't know what's going to come out at the end of this. I really don't. Like, I don't know who I'm going to be at the end of this, and I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this, but I know that I played my part, and I continue to play my part, and that even in the middle of all this, like, choosing to go through the emotional pain has enabled me to get some peace. Like, I slept for 6 hours straight last night, and I can't tell you what a relief that was, to be able to go from sleeping, like, waking up every hour, to waking up every 2 hours, to waking up every 4 hours, to, like, waking up after 6 hours and being like, yes, I'm excited about the day, Like, that's what being brave enough to go through the pain has been for me. Is like, it's a release, because at the end of the day, the other part I have in my healing is that I need to leave the resentments and anger behind me. Like, I don't know what I'm being prepared for, but I do know that everything is for my good, and that something good is going to come out of everything. And now I'm getting to decide, like, what it is that I want to create. And, it's maybe that's my question. Maybe that's the question that I ask myself is like, okay, what have I created? What do I want to create next? And just be really intentional about what's coming next. And what's happening now, like, just being really grateful for what's happening now. I don't know. But I do know that the questions that I'm asking are important, like the questions I was asking yesterday, or the questions I was answering yesterday, so I must have been asking them in the deepness of my subconscious, were, if this didn't work and I were to die tomorrow, have I lived my best life up to this point? And I have. Like, my life has meant something to me, and my life has meant something to so many other people, and that's me living my best life. And it's not because of the things that I can do for them, it's because of who I am. And I think that's all I've ever wanted, was to be okay in my own skin and to make a difference. And I know that I make a difference. And so the next question that I've been asking myself is, if I'm blessed with another 5 years, what is inside of me that I have left to give, and am I brave enough to give it? And that's a pretty big question, like, I think that's a legacy question, and then I ask myself, if I'm blessed to live another 40 or 50 years, how many things are inside of me that I can give to bless myself, but more importantly, to bless everyone whose life I touch. And I think that right there is a awesome question, because at the beginning of this, the only question that I could ask was, the only two questions I could ask was, does my life mean anything? And is my life worth fighting for? And since I've discovered that my life means something, and that my life is worth fighting for, now I get, the opportunity to decide what's left inside of me that's worth giving away. And I think that's a pretty awesome question to ask. And so, I think that if there's anything that you take away from the video today, it's to really ask yourself, what question am I asking myself on a continual basis? And is it an empowering question, and does it improve the lives of others? Because when I say, how can it benefit me? What I'm really saying is, how can I empower myself? Because one of the things I've learned is whether I have a house to call my own, or things that belong solely to me, or if life is going the way that I want it or not wanting it, it's how can I empower myself? Because everything I need is inside of me. And, so I think, if there's nothing else that you ask, is what's the question that I'm asking? What are the questions that I'm asking? And maybe do like what I'm doing today. This is my journal. And I'm sitting there asking myself, what are the questions I've been asking myself for the last 3 days that have gotten me to this place of a deeper peace inside of my soul? And what can I do with the rest of my life that will empower me and bless the lives of all those I touch? So, it's worth finding out what your question is. And it's worth maybe changing the question to something that empowers you and blesses the lives of everybody you touch. Because that's what we're made for. We're made to give. And we don't live unless we give. So have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later.